Have you been feeling a quiet but persistent pull, like your soul is urging you towards something greater? A mission that's been perhaps unfolding across lifetimes, calling you to step deeper into your truth and purpose? If so, you're not alone. This message is for those who are ready to listen. Hi there, I'm Hope. I am an intuitive reader and storyteller, and I'm here today to share with you what Spirit is asking for us to remember before the noise makes us forget who we are. So, this channeled message that I'm sharing with you today came in quite fast and strong, and the urgency in it is very distinct, but it is also a deep invitation for realignment. And so here in this space at the Intuitive Mirror, I'm committed to offering deep and meaningful and insightful guidance that is rooted in truth and in soul healing. And so rather than offering some quick fixes or sensationalized messages, if that's something that you're looking for, there's tons of channels out there. But if you're seeking clarity that honors your spiritual journey and supports lasting growth, then you're in the right place. So I'm going to invite you now, before I begin, to just take a big deep breath in and allow yourself a moment to get grounded and let it out with a sigh. And perhaps you can even put your hand on your heart, and you can even put one on your stomach if you like, and just get a little bit more centered into who you are and where you are and why you are here. My guides opened with a question in this channeled message. In what ways are the collective energies pulling us away from our soul's true mission? In what ways are the collective energies pulling us away from our soul's true mission? So the core of this message has been repeating to me for over a month now, and it first came through a tarot reading that I gave myself. Then it appeared in automatic writing, and then finally 2 days ago, I received it with the clearest clarity yet. And that's when I knew it wasn't just for me, it's for all of you as well. I've been doing my best to follow my guides are recommending, and I'm curious if there's something that perhaps you feel ready also to do. But as always, only stay if this resonates with you. If it's not your message, then please don't listen. I will not be offended. I promise you that. In fact, that would align perfectly with what my guides are asking of us right now. And if you're curious about history, stay until the end to discover what the year 1025 AD connects to today's message and how. So I channeled a couple days ago, and I did a transcription of it and then just cleaned up a few bits and pieces for clarity's sake, more or less taking out repeated words because that's how channeling goes. This is a channeled message today, no cards at present. So you have been called to present yourself with intentionality to the greater good of all. With that, you must consider all of the ways that the collective energies are deviating from the main mission. That would be things that can offer distractions. That can include news reports, news footage, social media of all sorts. It is a way to disempower, to then disregard and disprove. And I have to interject here, that is a word that this said was important, to disprove. To disprove that which you already know to be truthful, accurate, and possible. It is a challenge, and so we use that analogy, as Hope has said, in past times, where the language that you might use and the thinking that you might have If you are purple, you wear purple, talk purple, and then you enter a room and everyone else is wearing, talking, thinking, and speaking in orange, it becomes then difficult in that realm to consider and interpret who you are in the sea of that contrast. Because what happens is, as humans, you are noble but social creatures, you start to question your own choices, your own abilities, your own intelligences, as well as your own belief systems in a world that might differ from yours. Ergo, you must consider why you have come to this place in time on this sphere of experience. This opportunity here, it is a global shift, of course, that has been occurring, and we've been speaking for this for a long time, millennia even, if you will. This shift has been a part of that span of time. But as it is right now at present, when everyone is saying right, you are being asked to take a left. You must consider and then receive doing that which is perhaps, quote, going against the grain, end quote, as it were, and to remove oneself from certain tablets of information, vibrational frequencies, transmissions, and therefore transmutations, which might not appeal to your actual higher and inner self. Therefore, even though it is something that you have participated with in the past, such as in this moment right now, a collective message, if you are participating in this engagement with us right now, here in this moment, it might not be part of your higher good to be a part of that transmission if it does not resonate with you. But how are you to know what does and does not resonate for your very self if you are surrounded by the din of fellow mankind? Part of the, quote, being, end quote, is that we said to Hope as well, who engages with those readings of the tarot sometimes with other readers, it is not the reader itself or themselves, it is not the person who is the message and messenger in those moments. It is, in fact, the old guard, the overarching energies, the needs of the masses as such is what pulls a messenger, such as one of the tarot, into the message, if you will. So the masses are calling for a certain, quote, savior, end quote, or, quote, deliverance, end quote, for they have a need. And if your need does not align with the needs from the greater collective, it can easily overtake you, such as a wave that would pull you in further to an ocean that you did not intend to swim in. So, you are being called to bring awareness to this phenomenon. That if this particular messaging is of resonance for you, so be it. However, if you are in participation within a particular frequency, whether it be through other readings or other channeled messages, or online, quote, beefs, end quote, as people call it, or online discussions or dissertations, even discourses. Though we can admire what some may consider active discourse, in fact can be called, as they say, navel gazing, quote unquote. So navel gazing, which is an act of spiritual egoism, can operate during these time periods, meaning times of strife and conflict. So to be clear, where spiritual egoism is, we, as in our collective, the human forces, are being told it's for your highest good. That awareness within certain places and spaces is the quote, right thing to do, when in fact, it might not actually be. So, to unplug from a collective force in order to re-engage with your singularity, your individuality, and spiritual force is of paramount importance right now. We are not saying you are not to socialize. We are not saying you're not to celebrate and participate with others in community. However, as they call it, quote, IRL, in real life, if you are not participating IRL in community, but mostly participating in the digital formats, though they have their place, it is for you right now not to be pursued as an option or as a place to participate. You are being called to unplug, to disengage, and to deformat, like computer programming. Deformat from that collective. So a quick message that's coming through for Hope to participate and deliver. We appreciate you communing with us in this moment and to consider and acknowledge the benefits and blessings of participating in nature with trees and grounding and plants and flowers and bees and all of those. And we are offering our utmost love, and we are considering you in this moment as you make choices to be part of your own divine life. You are the light, and therefore you anchor the light by nurturing your own light. We love you so much. We thank you so much for participating in this very quick channeled message, but you are very, very much important to the whole entire collective as an individual part. And therefore, we ask that you nurture and communicate as such. We love you so much, and we thank you. You're welcome to go back and review, even to stop. I do have some journal prompts at the end here that you can participate in for meditative purposes. But here are some of the key highlights. The soul's mission has been unfolding for over a millennia. So this particular mission, social media and digital systems are acting as energetic drains and diversions. There is a deliberate disempowerment agenda at play in news and media systems. And the time to unplug, reset, and remember is now. This is not a fear-based message, but it is a loving call to reclaim your focus and energy. Reclaim your focus and energy. I have a prompt for you. I don't know if you can hear the crow, but crow is outside. Where have I allowed digital noise to replace divine knowing? And if you feel called to share that in the comment section so that others can maybe see and hear how you are responding in the world, it might actually help someone feel maybe like they're not alone or on the right track. What is the shape of my soul's mission when I listen in silence? That's a good one for meditation. If you stayed here till the end, it resonated with you, I'm sure. And thank you for being here. 1,000 years ago, it was 1025 AD. So this has been a millennia-long shift, and there's a lot of little details from the historical perspective that I found kind of interesting in terms of what was happening in the last 1,000 years. Why are we being called now, specifically within this time frame? So we'll explore. But around the year 1025, spiritual authority was centralized, meaning the organized religion as a structure, the church, for example, in Christianity, Islam as well, Judaism had been established long before. It really was dominating different societies during this time period and dominated the narrative of the human experience. The church was really the only way to get information during this time period. Personal revelation and personal mysticism was often silenced. And despite all this, seeds were still being sown. Mystics and poets and sacred lineages and mystery schools were still quietly carrying a flame, but they had to go underground. Here we are, 1,000 years later, and we are finally ready to remember what was buried. And if you are a bit of a history buff, please feel free to share as well what you get from this 1025. What's jumping out at me is the divine feminine aspect. The divine feminine had largely been suppressed in mainstream spiritual and cultural systems, yet persisted quietly through different symbols and stories and hidden lineages. Holy Mother Mary has definitely been in full swing and operation. If you are someone who comes through the Christian lens, you'll know that the way Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene as well has been portrayed in the Bible might not be fully accurate in telling the full story. And so this is sort of interesting. And then the world was really starting to pop up with feudalism and into different empires. And this is where we had religious division. And that has just continued the pattern of domination, division, distraction. Don't look over here, look over there, right? In Rome, they would give people, the bread and circuses, if you're familiar with that. And you'd also be fed, basically a standard basic loaf of bread a day is sort of like basic living nowadays. And that was a way to keep people from kind of questioning the other stuff that was going on. If you're here, this has been a slow reawakening of our inner authority and our spiritual sovereignty, our own control over who we are, what we do, how we go about it, right? And so we are now moving away, of course, from this top-down spiritual control. Less people are going to organized churches nowadays and seeking online communities. And this is why I find right now ironic, because I'm being told not to get online, but here I am getting online to share a message that I'm being told to share. Ooh, we're being asked to kind of know when to get in and when to get out. Here we are, 2025. This new grand awakening is beginning again, perhaps. I feel like this shift, which has been taking 1,000 years, might not be much time at all in the eyes of the divine. Feels like a long time for us. But when we do think about how a pendulum swings, it has to swing one way and then it's going to swing the other. And, we were starting to experience a pretty heavy swing around COVID times, and the way people were thinking was getting pretty staunch. And now it's starting to come back to center, which I knew that it would. And now we're starting to shift again into another direction, and we're just trying to find it. We're trying to find that happy medium, but we're not going to be able to do that if we're all jumping on different bandwagons. And I think that's really what my guides are trying to say here. It is to honor and cultivate your own inner mystic and your own inner poet and your own inner divine being. So my friends, I just want to encourage you to consider finding ways to unplug, not think of it as something that you're running away from, but rather an empowered choice where you are choosing to withdraw. You're not avoiding, but you are choosing to withdraw from that which you can. Am I telling you to avoid your work emails? No, I am not. Do we need to all be on TikTok right now scrolling and looking at God knows what comes up on our feed? No, we do not. I really want to thank you if you made it this far. I do appreciate it. If this message resonated at all, feel free, please, to share this or simply carry it with you. Let your presence be your loudest act of power. Your spiritual presence through meditation, through taking a walk in the woods, through journaling, whatever it might be. Let me know if this was helpful. Slightly different from the tarot that we do, but I'm starting to bring in more of these channeled messages as they come through. My friends, don't forget to like this and share it, subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can be up to date with more divine content. If anything resonated, you'd like to show your appreciation in another energetic way, I do have links in my bio for PayPal or for coffee if you so choose. Not necessary, but it would mean the world. I also am offering one-to-one readings, so if you are interested in a tarot reading, please get in touch with me. I have a link to my website and my email address will just queue you up there for that. I will never approach anyone for a reading at all, so that's something to keep in mind. But I am Hope, and I hope you have yourselves a wonderful week. Much love to you.